Is poverty not violence? Is mass incarceration not violence? Is racism is endless warfare not violence? Is colonial Why is it only violence when we fight back? This meme critiques how society selectively defines and condemns violence. It argues that structural and systemic injustices, such as those listed in the meme, inflict immense suffering, yet are rarely labeled as violence. The literal or conventional definition of violence typically refers to, quote, the use of physical force to harm someone or something. By that strict definition, things like poverty, denying healthcare, or destroying the environment might not qualify. After all, they're systemic, indirect, or bureaucratic, not acts of direct physical force. However, the consequences of the structural and systemic injustices are physically harmful, sometimes even deadly. For example, poverty can lead to death, sickness, or mental suffering. Environmental destruction causes displacement, famine, and even disease. Denial of healthcare literally results in death. So while the mechanism that inflicts these may not be violent in a literal sense, the effect often is. In contrast, resistance to these injustices, especially from oppressed people, is immediately labeled as violent, criminal, or dangerous. In other words, powerful systems commit everyday harm under the guise of order or policy, while oppressed people are vilified when they resist, even peacefully or out of necessity. The meme doesn't misdefine violence, it challenges us to stop defining it so narrowly. The act of redefining it is in service of moral clarity and accountability, because if we don't redefine it, the word then becomes a tool of oppression. Similar to the way the word terrorism is selectively used by those in power to delegitimize resistance while sanitizing state-sponsored oppression. So, if the definition of terrorism is technically, quote, the use of violence or intimidation against civilians typically to achieve political goals, end quote, then why aren't US drone strikes, bombings, or police brutality ever labeled terrorism? Words like these shape our understanding of the world. Whoever controls their meaning gets to define morality, legitimacy, and power. So to redefine a word like violence is an act of resistance that seeks to make the invisible visible.